Um, Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Thanks for your attention. I'm Valerie from Stash. I'll start with a personal story. I got hired by Stash like about 6 months ago, 5 months ago. And I was previously at Aplavin, which I don't know if you know the name. Aplavin is a small company, so you might not know it. But I got this. I'm not going to play the video, but I got the personalized video message from Justin Kan, who's our co founder, who's also the founder of Twitch. So I got this in my email and I showed this to my husband and I go, like, oh, look, like AI got so real. Justin Kan, like, this is an AI video. He looks so real. Like, it's, like it's insane. And my husband turns back to me. He's like, no, I think this is real. I think this is Justin Kan just trying to hire you. This is not AI. This is real. So, yeah, and I got excited about D2C space because I was previously at ad monetization for my entire life, meaning like 10 years. So it feels like entire life, really. I got excited about D2C space and what it can do to gaming, and then I got excited about Stash to see what Stash can do to D2C. So I became a part of this team, which is like I said, Justin Kan is our founder, and then Henry Launfels is, I don't know if you know any people here, but Henry Launfels is our CEO. He joined us from Oma Games. He is previously the president there, and most precious asset is Spencer Tucker. He was the ex-president Games at Scopely, and he actually built out Scopely D2C before it was a thing. So I saw your panel before, and you guys are like, we're doing web stores for 2 years now from Playtika, obviously, like a lot of people who are like OG D2C. I'm sure you're very curious to see how this trend is evolving with D2C because you've been doing that internally for so many years already. So yeah, but I got excited about joining this team because all of these people are coming from, like, it's not the whole team, we have more people, but all of these people are coming from gaming. And I have this joke with my friends is like, I finally made it out of the vicious circle of B2B SaaS because it feels like I'm working for a gaming company now, which is not necessarily true. Like, I'm still working for a B2B company, but yeah. So that's a little intro to Stash, but the idea here for my presentation is really to talk about loyalty and how it can be infused throughout the whole life cycle and how it drives D2C adoption. So that's that's what we're going to cover today. I'll start with the regulations overview, and then we'll talk about how maximizing D2C adoption can actually affect all of the stages from acquisition to retention, acquisition, conversion, and retention. And then we will take a look at how we can transform beyond this 30% adoption rate, whatever is traditional for D2C right now. So yeah, I think that's where we're gonna start. So with regulations, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with regulations at this point. So there are literally two camps, the USA and then the rest of the world. USA is pretty relaxed, as you probably all know. And then UK, we got exciting news from UK. And then the rest of the world besides USA is really patched work because we're watching EU where it's like still cautious. And then we're watching Android adoption. What's exciting about Google Play is really that it's not only about linking out anymore, but it's also about in-app alternative payments, and it's also about alternative distribution channels, alternative Play stores. So that's really exciting, and this is where like we're actually looking into something pretty interesting coming up, where it's like holy grail of D2C when you not only can do the in-app payments anymore, but you can also do alternative distribution, and it is really key to, while all of these regulations are in place, to think about what's next. Okay, we've got all of this freedom. What do we do with this freedom? And this is the most common question that I'm getting from the studios that I'm speaking to right now is like, how do we do that? And why do we do that? And like, what to do with this freedom and how to do that right? Because you don't want to go crazy, right? This is the number one question that I'm getting from studios is like, how do we, balance it out? So in terms of Android, like I said, alternative distribution, side loading, I'll speak about web stores a little bit, but most of the conversation today is going to be focused on loyalty. So loyalty to me and the way we think about, adoption of D2C in general is there are literally 2 points, like there is friction and there is motivation. So you will hear a lot of this like frictionless experience, native experience, which we promoted it the same way as Stash, right? But the idea is that it's never going to be as native as what user is used to, right? So that's the idea, is that obviously you can create it pixel perfect, you can be really creative, but it's never going to be the same. So obviously we want to reduce friction, and that's number one goal. But beyond that, we want to increase motivation. And this is what I'm going to be focusing on today, is how do we increase this motivation to use D2C? Because coming at the user from out of the blue is just like, hey, do you want to use this channel? Do you want to pay elsewhere? This is something that users are simply not used to, except for the companies that have been adopting this for years and they have top spenders already used to that. So in terms of loyalty, speaking of motivation, when we speak about motivation, loyalty comes first. So loyalty can really be infused throughout the whole entire journey. Traditionally, loyalty is thought of like, hey, this is like more like retention. We retain our top spenders, and this is how studios normally approach loyalty when it comes to VIP or any clubs that you guys already have. When we talk about loyalty, that is really one of the primary channels for acquisition in D2C, where you actually can infuse loyalty throughout the whole entire funnel, and you can acquire users through loyalty and convert them and then retain them. So our approach is a little bit different, where loyalty is infused throughout the entire journey. And what we really think about here is there is a metric that we have internally that is called return on generosity. Anybody familiar with this metric, apart from people who've been running web stores for many years? Return on generosity? Okay, yeah. So basically, it's a very simple concept. There is nothing crazy. So return on generosity is basically, for every dollar that I spent on D2C, for me being generous to my user, what do I get in return? So with D2C, what's really interesting is that return on generosity is, first of all, it's easy to calculate, and secondly, it just exists. So even if we assume you're giving out everything and the cannibalization is 100%, which is like an extreme scenario, right? Like you're still going to be, getting something in return from that user. But even if your loyalty is extreme and you're not getting anything in return, what you're getting in return is user going to another channel and you saving up on fees. So you would still get 20%, 25% up to every dollar that you spend. Because loyalty here is not only for the sake of loyalty and retaining your users, but it's also not how much the user spends, but where the user spends. So this is where you can be really generous here, because you know that whatever you give out, you will still get this 25% increase due to the diversification of the channel. So in terms of how we structure the loyalty programs, it's really, we have, one of the examples that we have is Warhammer Tacticians Club. Anybody is a fan of Warhammer? Anybody plays Warhammer? Okay, cool. So Warhammer is, the way we structure the loyalty programs is basically, first of all, I just wanted to reiterate on the point that the loyalty programs that we're building, they're not the same as VIP programs that are, targeting the depth spend, the spend of depth, the depth of spend, or your top spenders. It's not the same, right? Our loyalty programs, when we layer them into D2C, they're mostly focused on acquiring users and getting them used to this channel and being intrinsically and extrinsically motivated by going through this channel. So there is a little bit of a difference, right? And the way we structure these programs is that we introduce ranks, we introduce milestones, and we introduce benefits. So ranks is, everybody's familiar with ranks. Like you can introduce from 3 to 10 ranks. It's very basic, right? Then milestones is really short, achievable, something snackable for the users to get through. Like they really want to, get closer to that rank. And Then we add benefits on top of that, and benefits can be economical, non-economical. So for non-economical benefits, we introduce, for example, access to VIP support, merch, cosmetics, anything that they're excited about. But to the point that was discussed in the panel previously is that you cannot introduce D2C, and you can't do this for the sake of doing D2C. You have to give something to the user. So the idea is that the user feels valued, and this return on generosity just keeps, like self-reinforcing, because they progress through the ranks, they progress through milestones, and for them, it's really exciting to go and pay through this channel and support the publisher, right? So this is where we really dive deep into the player's psychology and just like, hey, what can we do for these users to feel more valued if they go through D2C channel? And this is a simple example of the Tactician Club, of the loyalty program that we built for them. So basically, you have the link to compliant loyalty program, and then within the loyalty program, you have your current rank, you have your core currency, which is like just the addition to the currency of the game. Then you have the loyalty currency that is like giving you loyalty points. And then you have the loyalty XP status, which is like really people are looking forward to achieve the certain status to progress to the next rank. And all of this is compliant, 2 clicks away, so it's not really, yes, it is an additional channel, but you're reducing this friction not only by creating this seamless experience, pixel perfect, whatever, but you're truly thinking about your players, what would make them feel valued to go through the D2C channel. So yeah, that's another example of how we structure the VIP shop. And all of this is complementary to the internal VIP programs that you guys have within the games. It's really not something that is like, it's complementary and it's not that different, and you can structure it in a way that they add to each other. So yeah, that's we have the bonus multipliers on a daily basis. We have the tier status program. We have the offer that is time sensitive because we have real-time catalog, so it is time sensitive and it's linked to the loyalty tier. And the idea here is very simple, I would say, is that to sum up my presentation is that with the return on generosity, like the way you create the loyalty programs is that to think what would make your user go D2C and how can you be generous to a user without cannibalizing their experience and really, thinking about the user first, right? What's exciting about the recent developments for link outs and in-app payments and web store, for every 1%, when we start introducing link outs, because that's number one question that we're getting right now, is like, hey, if I introduce these payments and I do have the web store, what the difference, is it going to cannibalize my web store? Like, what's going to happen? So what we noticed from our data, it's very fresh, but it's there, is that for every 1% of growth on the web store purchase, we get up to 75%, up to 0.75% growth on payment links. So they grow simultaneously and they don't cannibalize each other, which is really exciting for us because we see that this adoption is growing simultaneously and it can grow all the way up to like 40, 50% together. So I think that's the exciting recent development. If you want to learn more, ask me questions and I'm happy to dive into the topic. But yeah, that's about it. I'm open to the questions. No questions?
I have one.
Sure.
How do you support bringing players to the concept of D2C? Not like after it is inside, you will get about the plan and understand. But the first move.
Yeah.
Do you support it?
Yeah, we do. So, for example, instead of like directing users, like I've seen a lot of implementations where the users are being directed directly to opting in for stash pay in the settings, which is, I don't think that's the right approach. I mean, whatever works for users, you know better. But for example, we give them something special, like special currency, special offer, cosmetics, whatever the user might be excited about, free-to-play mission, anything that is like really exciting to them. So we give that in return to opt-in in for D2C, and this is where we saw the increase in adoption. I think it was mentioned before in the panel, but it's really, it's really powerful to think about like how the user would think about it, right? So I mean, it sounds cheesy, but that's true. So for example, I don't know, like Angry Birds, if you take this example from Ravio, like there would be, the user might potentially be excited about like the new skin or the new hat for the bird or whatever, and we introduced that as an exciting offer in exchange for opting in into D2C. So it feels like intrinsic versus we're just pushing them for this transactional experience.
You already get something that he wants even before we start.
Exactly, yeah. Any other questions? Questions from, yeah?
As a non-app developer question, why is it hard in the first place? I'm just curious. Why is it hard to convert user from Google Play first payment methods to some different payment methods? Users are just not loaded, it's not integrated. Why is it a challenge?
Sure, that's a really good question. So I think it's just a matter of convenience and what the users are used to. So I think historically, if we take utility apps, like the users are very much used to, I mean, if you take, for example, Spotify or Strava, if it takes you to the external interface, it doesn't look as scary. I think for the user who's, like, is been taken, like, if you leave Spotify, you will get back to Spotify. If you leave Strava, I'm an avid Strava user, I'll get back to Strava no matter what. If you leave a game that is like competing to 5 other games on your phone and you will add to this sketchy whatever third-party payment, that is like, it's really hard to, I mean, gaming people support me here, but I think that's the core issue, is that it's really hard to get them back into the game, right? So that's the main problem, to eliminate this inconvenience for the user and eliminate this level of fear that is like, why is my game interrupted and what's going on? And so that brings me back to the point of like, how do we make it look native and how do we make it look as natural as possible to the game, right? Thank you.
Google Play is like forbidding you to implement like PayPal or something else like inside of your game.
No, you can still do PayPal. It's just in terms of like alternative payment methods like Stash or Xolo App Charge. My fellow, hopefully my fellow competitors are here. So, yeah. But look, Google Play is like opening up. That's really exciting for everybody who's here, I think, because it's really cracking open. Any other questions? Let me know, because I do have, complementary to this presentation, I do have a set of like a PDF of metrics that you need to watch for loyalty. If you're mid-core, like depending on the genre, it was put together by my product team. So I didn't include this into the presentation because it's too long and heavy. And I'm like, guys, we don't have time for this. But if you need these metrics, the metrics that you want to watch out for your game specifically in a specific genre, according to like D2C plus loyalty metrics, let me know. I'm happy to share. So thank you.